because I really believe that especially the bigger organizations, they should own experimentation. So why would you outsource your decision making and learning?
But Ruben, why do people call you the Justin Timberlake of CRO?
And I was really curious that they changed behavior offline, and that really piqued my interest. Like, then how can we also change behavior online? It's the most proven way of decision making. If you look at hierarchy of evidence, it's really at top. There's one higher, the meta-analysis, but that is derived from lots of A/B testing. So this is a right way to decision making, both for growth, but also to mitigate risk.
Can you tell us something about the first experiments you've ever run?
Buttons, of course. I think it was with Google Content Experiments was the name, I think, where I ran my first tests. And I think the first one was changing text links to, of course, orange buttons with round corners. Yes, and I would love to see the data now, but yes, it was definitely a win. I cannot go in an organization like, we're going to change this, this, and this, and this. No, you have to really understand the organization, understand the people, understand the goals, understand the struggles, the stakeholder mapping, to give them the best advice on how to embed experimentation. Because if you involve people and experimentation fits into their current processes, it's going to work much better than coming in and saying like, hey, we're going to change all your processes now to have like this best experimentation program for you. But if it's a real old, big legacy organization with a lot of output-driven goals, a lot of gut-based decision-making from higher managers, then of course it's going to be a lot tougher. Getting experimentation organization is a puzzle, and it's also experimentation. You have these frameworks, 8 steps of Kotter, ADKAR, you have the McKinsey, but again, not everything works for every single organization, and also that is like experimentation. What works where for which team? I see a lot of people involve people in the CRO program. It's the other way around, and bring a CRO to them.
Welcome, Ruben. You host the most popular course on CRO on Udemy with 25,000 students. I made a mistake once to say 2,500, but it's actually 25,000.
Well, you said more than 2,500, so it was correct.
Okay, fair enough, but I don't know, 25,000 has a different ring to it, right? Next to that, you also helped optimize many centers of excellence and CRO teams for many years. And, if our listeners don't know you from your course on Udemy, then you also have a newsletter and you post a lot on LinkedIn. But Ruben, why do people call you the Justin Timberlake of CRO?
Now, I should have known that was the first question. It basically happened a couple of years ago when I was at a conference in Germany, and a really nice guy posted immediately after the conference. He was happy to meet me, the Justin Timberlake of CRO. And then people like yourself really loved it. And kept on using it for many years. But I see it as a big compliment. So it's funny and a nice compliment.
I can imagine it is. But I don't see it coming back in your LinkedIn profile, though.
No, I let others say that about me. I'm not going to say by myself that I'm the Justin Timberlake of CRO.
And what is it about experimentation that made you the Justin Timberlake of CRO? What makes you so passionate about it?
Well, I've been doing it for many years, for over 15 years. It's just the right way to make decisions. You have proof for your decisions. You just immediately see if your ideas, your decisions were good, because most of it is measurable. And I just like the fact that we can we can solve real customer problems by testing, by research, because A/B testing and experimentation is research. And that every idea is allowed, whether you are the CEO or a junior. If the experiment, whatever experiment you use, A/B testing or other experiment, shows the idea of the junior was better than the CEO, then we continue with the idea of the junior. Yeah, I just love everything about it. It's just result driven. It's the truth in it. It's results. It's research. It's everything. And I think it's mainly a mindset. You can do it in business, you can do it in your personal life, you can do it with sports. So it just matches with who I am and what I'm passionate about.
Can you name some of the things that you have experimented with in your personal life?
Of course, food supplements for sports. What sports I keep on doing. So I tried many different sports until I found the one that I can keep on doing. Sleep, bedtime, meditation, breakfast, whatever I can optimize, I try to optimize while also having fun, of course. For me, it's really about the balance. It's not that I always sleep at the same time and never have a beer. For me, it's all about balance and living a happy, healthy life.
Okay, but it does sound like your life looks a little bit like an experimentation program.
You could say that in some sense, yes.
And you also mentioned you're in CRO and experimentation for 15 years. What changed over the years? So when you started out, what did CRO look like, and what does it look like now?
It really depends on the industry and the market. I guess when I started 15 years ago, it now is the same as some markets still they're still starting. But for me, what changed a lot at first was I was really interested in. I was helping a coaching company, and I was really curious that they changed behavior offline, and that really piqued my interest. Like, then how can we also change behavior online? That's when I started in optimization. I didn't know about conversion rate optimization, but I used the psychological principles to try and change behavior online. And throughout my career, and especially at Online Dialogue, where I was the lead consultant, I more and more shifted my interest from both online, but then again also offline, to see how teams and organizations can experiment more and embrace this way of working and this mindset and this culture. And that's still fun and very challenging, but very fun line of work, to see how more teams can run their own experiments and have more people support it.
So would you say this is something that you specialize in, helping teams and organizations adopt experimentation, or is your specialty something else?
No, I would definitely say that's my specialty. The last years, many years, I've been mainly helping organizations to embed experimentation in many, many processes, hopefully in some in every single level of the organization, because I really believe that, especially the bigger organizations, they should own experimentation. I understand that some smaller Shopify like stores with sufficient traffic for A/B testing can outsource it, but it is a way of decision making, and it's definitely also a way of learning. So why would you outsource your decision making and learning? I believe in building capabilities within the organization to really scale experimentation beyond a CRO team, but to every single product team, strategy, propositions, what to do with new AI use cases, et cetera, et cetera. So I really believe, I really love helping companies grow and scale experimentation.
Is this so important? Because what happens if they don't? If they don't take on this experimentation mindset?
As mentioned, it's the most proven way of decision making. If you look at hierarchy of evidence, it's really at top. There's one higher, the mate analysis, but that is derived from lots of A/B testing. So this is a right way to decision making, both for growth, but also to mitigate risk. Through experimentation, you learn what you should and should not do, meaning you have more growth and less damage for the wrong decisions. And if you don't experiment, wrong decisions and bad assumptions can quickly scale within the organization, damaging the organization and the revenue a lot.
You also mentioned the concept of the hierarchy of evidence. For the people watching and listening that don't know what this is, can you explain this briefly?
Yeah, of course. It comes from science, from a paper of 2016, used to see the quality of proof from research methods. I think it was in 2018, 2019 that Ton Wessling brought it to our industry, and basically states the higher the quality of proof, the lower the risk of decision making. So expert review is at the bottom of the pyramid, as it's just one person, let's say, optimizing a website, rationally looking at the website, completely different mindset than how people scan your website. But this person might know some best practices, and it could definitely work. Above that's user research, and you have data, and they have randomized controlled trials or A/B testing as a very trustworthy way for research, for finding proof, and therefore low risk for decision making. So again, randomized controlled trials, A/B testing is a very trustworthy way to make decisions. And that's why I think organizations should own it themselves, both for the good decisions, but also to kill bad decisions fast.
Well, this is all super interesting. Let's go take a step back to how you ever ended up in experimentation. What did you study, and how did all of this lead up to A/B testing, CRO, and building teams and organizations?
So I studied business administration. I have a bachelor in business administration. Then I got a master's degree in marketing. But at that time, I found it very much focused towards marketing strategy of the Procter& and Gamble's and Unilever's at that time, and still this time. Whereas I also was working as a business analyst, as a job on the side next to my study. And I really missed the data part in marketing. Also because, again, I'm really result driven, and I'm better with numbers than with words. Don't know why. living in many countries, but I'm still better with numbers. And so that's when I decided to have the most risk analysis number like master next to it, which was finance and investment. So I got 2 masters. And that's when it also helped that coaching company get started. And that's when everything came together, like numbers, optimization, psychology. And that's how I naturally gravitated towards conversion rate optimization and now experimentation.
Can you tell us something about the first experiments you've ever run?
Buttons, of course.
Buttons, great.
I think it was with Google Content Experiments was the name, I think, where I run my first tests. And I think the first one was changing text links to, of course, orange buttons with round corners.
And it was a win?
Yes, and I would love to see the data now, but yes, it was definitely a win.
And what kind of company was that for?
This was called Insights. You might know it from the personality profiles with the colors, the red, the blue, the green, and yellow. So again, psychology, again, human behavior. And there I was the marketeer, online marketeer, but at one point I was only doing CRO.
Right. And now, of course, many years later, if you were to start an experimentation program today, with all the knowledge that you have, what are the steps in your opinion?
Well, the first step, well, I start programs with my clients, and the first step is ask a lot of questions. There's also a lot of stuff going on in my work based on change management, of course, and I cannot go in an organization like we're going to change this, this, and this, and this. No, you have to really understand the organization, understand the people, understand the goals, understand the struggles, the stakeholder mapping to give them the best advice on how to embed experimentation. Because if you involve people and experimentation fits into their current processes, it's going to work much better than coming in and saying like, hey, we're going to change all your processes now to have like this best experimentation program for you. It's the same again as sports. There's lots of scientific research about the best way for sports and for nutrition, but the best way for you is the way you can keep up with it and keep doing sports and having your best healthy food for a year. If you can only keep up with the best scientific method for a week, then it's not your best method. And the same goes for experimentation in organizations. You cannot go in and say like, hey, we're going to do everything different from now on. Now you have to learn first, ask a lot of questions, see what is happening now, and then embed experimentation in there. So really understand the current situation before you start giving advice.
And then where do you start? Do you start with certain profiles, certain types of people? Where would you even start to really build in a good experimentation program?
Start with the person who's hiring you
Okay.
and really understand their needs, not just from a company perspective, but also from a personal perspective. Their goals, because eventually they pay you. So you have to help them. And from there, yeah, talk to their stakeholders, whoever, whatever the goal is, however big it's going to be, you have to talk to people who are going to be involved in experimentation, who are going to have to change the way of working or be aligned, and speak to the people there.
It's interesting that you said that you are very good with numbers, but in the end, it does sound like you do a lot of talking.
True. I do like it talking. I do like meeting people. I love all the social situations, but I mean, I'm not good at other languages other than hopefully English a little bit.
Okay, now I understand the context of
Yeah.
that. And if I want to find out, so whether someone is external as an agency or a freelancer or in-house, if I want to find out how I can serve someone with experimentation and how I can align to their business but also personal goals, what do you even ask?
What I ask.
Yeah.
Well, first, not about why do you want to experiment. First, ask them really about their goals. If they're accomplishing the goals, and why not? What they've tried so far, what others try in the organization, if others in the organization are experimenting. Um, so really have to learn yeah, like who they are, what they want to achieve, why they cannot achieve it, and what they've tried before, what the obstacles are.
And are there certain type of people that adopt this easier than others? Do they have certain goals, or is that very different?
No, of course, there are different maturity levels, different cultures. In some cases, it's you can implement it rather fast because they already kind of have the mindset. They're already outcome driven. But if it's a real old, big legacy organization with a lot of output-driven goals, a lot of gut-based decision making from higher managers, then of course it's going to be a lot tougher. I think that a beautiful example I once saw was I came in with a new client. I had to set up experimentation there for 12 teams, and I spoke to the product managers for each team. And one of them just started there, and this person came from an experimentation first organization. So I thought, this is perfect. This is going to be my star team because this person thinks experimentation. He's used to experimentation for many years. But then it became really hard. It was really hard to get the team started. So after 3 or 4 months, I asked him, like, what happened? I thought we were going to set up experimentation with ease in your team. And he just changed because of the culture. He's like, I know, but I have so much pressure for delivering features. I don't have time, and my developers don't have time. My team doesn't have time to set up experimentation. So culture, yeah, is
Yeah, so even someone that is very accustomed to the mindset, the way of working, with the wrong culture or a culture that doesn't fit that, it still doesn't change anything then.
yeah, it's really hard. So I thought it was going to be my star team, but eventually it was pretty tough. And
And
yeah, I
how
mean,
did the other teams do? Was there a star team or was that person also the best performing one?
no, there was a star team.
There
There were a
was.
couple of star teams, fortunately, and you could see there the managers already had more outcome-driven goals from higher up. They had a little bit more already of the optimization, experimentation mindset. So there it was really easy to get a team started. Just need the knowledge, the process, and some guidance, and those were the star teams. And then you see other teams step by step follow them. But yeah, it's always a puzzle. Just like optimizing your digital product, also getting experimentation organization is a puzzle, and it's also experimentation. You have these frameworks, 8 steps of Kotter, ADKAR. You have McKinsey, but again, not everything works for every single organization. And also that is like experimentation. What works where for which team?
And it also sounds that environment and culture plays such a big role that it becomes, even if you put the best people in the right spots, that if the environment around it is not correct, they will not be able to even do what they want or how they have envisioned things.
No, absolutely, and it makes sense. Like a really easy example: if this person had a manager who was had outcome-driven goals. That manager had outcome-driven goals, and that manager set the goal. So it was like 3 stages higher up in the organization. It was a hierarchical organization, and then you get these challenges. And if you get an outcome-driven goal from 3 managers above you, yeah, and you want to have your temporary contract extended, then you better do what your boss tells you and achieve those goals.
And then how can you help this person in this situation?
You either have conversations with those managers,
Yeah.
or if it's too big of a hassle, you focus on the star teams and expand from that. Because eventually more and more teams start experimenting and getting those results, then eventually more and more teams will follow and more managers will follow, just simply following the herd. So yeah, focus on teams where you can make quick progress, show results, share results internally, show how experimentation is valuable to achieve goals for those teams that have such goals. And eventually, hopefully, more and more teams will align.
So what you said was there were two routes. So one is to help this person, you go directly to its managers and try to influence and change that. And the other route was through the other teams, try to influence those same
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
but
Real base, yeah, that's just, yeah. Of
work
course, there
around.
might be other routes depending
Okay.
on the situation, but these are two general routes you could indeed follow. Focus on
So,
other teams and make them successful, or see if you can change something there. And in this case, yeah, when it's output driven goals, you have to talk to a higher manager because the goals need to change.
yeah. Okay. So in the end, it's not about changing anything for this person anymore, but it's about approaching leadership to change whatever it is that trickles down in the organization.
Yeah,
So that's essentially key.
bottom up change is also possible, but it
Yeah.
really depends on the situation.
When is that possible?
I guess less hierarchical, more freedom. I guess the biggest and the nicest example is what's mentioned in the book. I think Turn the Ship Around. It's about really bottom up change because it's at the bottom of the ocean, was a US Marine submarine. And there, the manager, they had small budgets and It's really hard for that low in the organization, marine organization, to be cost efficient. But he gave his team a lot of autonomy, and only for very big decisions they had to ask the manager. And this is by far the most efficient team of the whole U.S. Marine. So they went totally up the ladder because they did something the higher managers cared about. So that model is used, autonomy is used now throughout the whole US military. But it also got into a book that really pushed autonomy in the whole corporate world. So this was really bottom up change from the bottom of the ocean, the bottom of the US Marine. And it got really to the top, whereas it's a really popular book in the corporate world. But what they did is they did something higher management really, really cares about. And it was visible because it's easy to see in the balance sheets. And in
And
that case,
yeah,
in such a story, bottom up change is possible.
it's possible. Is it always possible? No, right? That's also what you're saying, dependent on. Yeah. So there needs to be autonomy, freedom, something else.
Yeah, of course, psychological safety, very important.
So no temporary contracts or, your ass on the line. Is that part of it?
Now, are you allowed to make mistakes? Are you allowed to make mistakes? Is it a mistake a failure, or is a mistake an opportunity to learn? Those are really, really important ingredients.
I spoke to someone for this podcast as well that made $1 million mistake, and the company supported him and is still supporting him in the career right now. So
It's $1 million
that's the dream.
education, so
Yeah.
of course you support him. Yeah, no, it's only good. Yeah. And of course, never it goes hand in hand. Bottom up change and top down change. I mean, bottom up change eventually. I mean, that submarine did something in there, but eventually change was done by higher management, just like CRO specialists and or product teams that show that experimentation gives growth and learning and mitigate risks. They're not going to change the whole organization. Higher management does that, but it's based on when they have a result, and the other way around as well. Top down change is never possible without bottom-up feedback.
Interesting. So in the end, both top and bottom need to work together.
Yeah, but it can start at the bottom, can work at the top, but eventually both need to work together to really have that change
Yeah.
embed and stick within the organization.
Do you have some advice for people in-house that are just, they are doing their work, they're doing their role, they are a CRO specialist, maybe a product owner, they have all the power to experiment, but they want to bring or broaden this in the organization? What do you recommend for those people?
And help people achieve their goals with your experiments. I see a lot of people involve people in the CRO program. It's the other way around, and bring a CRO to them, help them achieve their goals, because that's when they start seeing value. If someone's stuck on their goals and you help them with a CRO to achieve them, that's when they see value. If you only focus on your own goals, I want more A/B tests, and then get people in, and that doesn't really show them value. Do the other way around. Focus on their goals and see if you can achieve their goals with your experiments. The same goes for if you want more support, more resources. Really focus on what the organization is looking at, the organizational goals. If it's not like 1-2% uplift in your A/B test, if you don't care about that, check what they care about. What are the big bets they want to validate and where they're not sure about? Or what discussions are taking place at higher management level? And maybe you can help them validate ideas to set strategic direction, but find out for your most important stakeholders what they care about, what their goals are, and what their obstacles are, and then help them achieve it with your experiments.
Then what does that actually look like? So you go to them, you find out what they actually want, you propose to them like, hey, experimentation can actually help you. Would they need to be guided into literally setting up an A/B test, or do they just need to understand the mindset and how all of this works? What kind of steps would they need to take from that point?
Well, don't guide them into setting up A/B tests. When you want change to
Okay.
happen,
Yeah.
keep it easy and
Okay.
keep it small. So you do the A/B test. Don't bother them with statistical significance. Just tell them, is this going to work? Is it not going to work? Unless they're really passionate about statistics and really passionate about A/B testing, then of course involve them, have them help you set up an A/B test. So again, it's learning about what your stakeholders want. But yeah, for change to succeed, make it easy, make it small, make it satisfying.
I think that's a really good point because people might be tempted to just teach them how to run an experiment, right? And that is too much then, if I
Yeah,
hear you correctly.
yeah. Yeah, because they already have full agendas, they have other priorities, and they don't know yet what it is. They don't know if it's going to bring them value. So show them first,
Yeah.
do the heavy work, and from there you can see what the next steps are. But again, yeah, for change to succeed, small, easy, satisfying.
So you keep it as simple as possible. Yeah.
Yes.
And for you, you started your career experimenting with button colors.
Yeah.
I don't think you do so anymore. How did experimentation, in the past 15 years change your career and where you are?
I started with doing everything myself, which was fun because then I can do data analysis. I eventually wrote a book about psychology for A/B testing. I can set up tests. I can do the analysis. I can set up hypothesis. Design is something I really struggle still with. That's just not something. It's
Okay,
the
you could
only
do a
thing I
lot,
really,
but yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it really helped me to understand who's doing what they're thinking about, how much work's going to cost, and from there, of course, I became a lead, a manager, and it was easier to lead and manage because I've done everything myself. But again, now it shifted more towards embedding experimentation within organizations. I think that's also a transition the market's going through, at least in the Netherlands, because we're a bit ahead of the curve with some other countries as well, of course. Every big organization here now has at least one CRO specialist, and more organizations start setting it up within their own product teams and an engineering pipeline. Um, and my work changed through that, and I absolutely love that because again, I love psychology and I love helping teams and organizations embed experimentation in every single process.
Yeah, and by now you are a consultant that helps experimentation programs grow as it may. Do you have specific types of clients that you help and clients that are not a fit because they are not there yet?
Yeah, I love working with clients that already have something set up. They have some CRO specialists, like a couple of them, or they have one product team that's just trying to experiment, or maybe they have the goal, like we have 10 product teams and they need to experiment, but at least they already have the goal, the budget, and the mindset. And I love taking it from the start or from like somewhere in the beginning, a couple of years experience to higher up in the organization, more teams, more efficiency, better processes, just capability building, scaling experimentation through the organization. That's what I love working with most because that's, again, I love helping people, teams, and organizations move forward and use experimentation for better decision making.
Okay, and your KPI, for the button color test might be straightforward, but for the work you're doing right now, what are the KPIs that you know like, hey, I did my work well? Do you look at number of tests, people in an organization testing? Do you look at something totally different? What is your measure of success these days?
My main measure of success is that when I leave the organization, that they continue to grow themselves. That is, of course, the most important metric because my job as an advisor is to help experimentation grow, scale within the organization. When I leave, then it should stay and preferably even grow. And then it depends on the teams. In some teams, they're just starting. It could be good to have like X number of experiments so they learn the process, they get the mindset, maybe win rates, but eventually, yeah, those are vanity metrics. You want a good mix of the smaller, quick UX tweaks and the bigger bets, which just take more time. So it's more than like teams involved. Or maybe number of teams that run at least 10 experiments a year, low number. But the main KPI is when I leave the organization, experiments or the teams I work with experiment and they can keep growing themselves.
Are there companies that you helped like that before the situation was, I don't know, they didn't experiment that much, and where did you take them?
Yes, yes, a lot of companies. Started with one CRO team and then it embedded into 8 product teams. Started with nothing and then it went to 12 product teams. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. But
Amazing.
also occasionally some mature organizations that yeah, have some do some experimentation, but not with the right quality and not with the right impact on both the revenue as well as the strategic bets and teaching them how to yeah have more impact with their experiments on every single level. So yeah, I've worked with over 50 brands, so I've seen a lot.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. It is a lot of fun. Every time it's a lot of fun.
That's really good. And we're reaching the end of this conversation, but I wanted to ask you, is there anything else we haven't discussed yet that you would like to talk about?
What I also say in a lot of my presentations is that we already have the experimentation optimization mindset. So let's also use it in our organizations. When we optimize our website or apps or digital products, we do a lot of user research, build hypothesis, test to align our digital products the best way possible with the needs of our customers, of our website visitors. But internally, we just send a B test update after a B test update, report after report, without ever wondering, is this useful for anyone? Again, do your user research, colleague research, talk to them, learn about them. What are the goals? What are the obstacles? What are the needs? And show that experimentation is valuable for them. Align your experimentation efforts with their needs, and you'll be much more successful. We already have the mindset because you do it every day online. Now start doing it in your organization.
Can you give one example? If I am a CRO specialist or a product owner, what can I do today to research my colleagues?
Indeed, research. Send out a survey.
A survey.
Yeah, send out a survey. Ask them like how they see experimentation, how they want to be involved, how they want to stay up to date. But also, what are your goals? What are your obstacles? And maybe they already have suggestions how experimentation can fit into that. Talk to people. Send out surveys, and not just blindly send a B test report after a B test report.
Not at all? Or
Not
just not
blindly.
blindly?
Not
Okay.
blindly.
Okay.
At least send it to people who find them useful and who you know will read it and who you know will use your insights in their work, because that means they are helping them.
Thank you so much, Ruben, for giving us some homework to go back to our work with tomorrow or whenever we have time. If you don't follow Ruben yet on LinkedIn, it's great if you do so. Like I said, he has a newsletter and he also has his courses on Udemy. Go check them out. But thank you so much, Ruben, for this wonderful conversation.
Thank you for having me.